Well, Jim and I met in 1989 when we were both in Kansas City. I was just arriving there. He'd been on staff at Mike Bickle's church there for, I think, a couple of years, and then I came on staff, and we just became fast friends, and eventually over the years he asked me to become part of his team, which I instantly said yes to because I so believe in him and what he's been doing. Yeah, I've been involved in many different aspects. I've traveled with Jim on the road, many different countries, different continents. Been a part of administrative aspects of his ministry, along with some of the prayer aspects and ministry after events, things like that. Also have been on the board as vice president for, I'm really not sure how many years, 15 years, maybe 16 years. And so pretty much familiar with and been a part of just about everything he's been doing. Yeah, the vision, the very heartbeat of Encounters Network is helping to equip the saints. I mean, that really is it. Get them a personal, in-depth relationship with the Lord where it's not just talking at God, but they're talking with Him. They're actually having those encounters with Him on a daily basis. One of the things that I love about Jim's teaching is that he makes it very practical, makes it easy. And that's one of the reasons he's been so successful. So I would say probably the most important thing is that he helps people connect with the Holy Spirit at the heart level in a very practical way. Well, again, I think that comes down to equipping the saints. Jim's call is more to the prophetic teacher, even into some of the apostolic now. But I would say his equipping ministry for helping the saints, as I said, connect with the Lord, and then they're able to hear the voice of the Lord clearly, to be led into whatever evangelism or discipling, which is probably one of his main gifts. I mean, he does that at a personal level, as well as training other people to do that. So I'd say probably equipping the saints for discipleship, which of course is what the Lord said to do, go make disciples. It's been really fun to be a part of Encounters Network over the last couple of decades because it is so diverse. I mean, it is one message. Let's help people get in touch with the Lord at a heart level. But he's done it in so many different ways. Obviously, he's involved with Israel. So there's the Israel outreach of it, and that's been steady since I've known him. There's also the online training with the Get School, God Encounters Training School that's online, which is, while it's new, it's actually just taking all of the things he's been teaching for 30 years and putting them into an online school, which of course has opened up the world. Then you've got the travel, when he does his live events, his prophetic ministry, which is oftentimes I've been with him when he's doing personal ministry with leaders. And there's a great need for that. And that's one of the things that I really love about the ministry, that he'll take that time and he'll give that to the leaders and to their leaders, not just to, quote, the big names, but to really anybody who might need it on anyone's staff, or even after he's ministered for hours, I've watched him just stand there and continue to minister to people. There's that, and then the way he raises up Timothy's, the way he disciples others and raises them up in ministry, I think that's rare because he doesn't just talk about it, he does it, takes them with him when he travels on the road. Sometimes they'll live in his house for months at a time, maybe years at a time, while he's raising them up in things of ministry. And I've been to many events where there's a room filled with Timothy's that Jim has raised up over the years. So many different ways that he releases that word of discipleship, of connecting with God at a heart level on a daily basis. Well, that's the great thing with a ministry like this. You can get involved in a lot of different ways. You always need a volunteer army. Anytime there's events, you're going to need a lot of people there helping with all the different aspects of an event. But there's also prayer, and I know a lot of people say that, but prayer is one of Jim's most important aspects of his life. And he understands the value of that. And of course, he's trained people all over the world in prayer. So prayer is a vital, it's probably the heartbeat behind the scenes of the ministry. So people can get involved, prayer storm and things of that nature, and praying for the ministry. Of course, obviously, there's financial giving. A ministry like this, that's grown and has a global outreach, there's always financial needs. Even though I've watched Jim over the years, and I'd have to say he's one of the best stewards of finances and ministry that I think I've ever been associated with. And I've had the pleasure of working with hundreds of churches over the years through ministry of my own. And I'm very impressed with the way he handles his finances. So prayers, volunteers, financial giving, and then if someone ever has an idea, always open to ideas of another way that God might open up doors for Encounters Network to get out and just share the word of, hey, God's real, He's a daddy, He loves you, and you can know Him as personally as James does. Because that's what I'm called to do. This is my calling. I love ministering to people. I think one of the greatest revelations I ever had was in the Word when it says that our eyes should be open so that we can know the hope of His calling. I know what my calling is, and it's to be a minister of the gospel. And to share it with someone like James for the last 20-something years has been just a delight. And also to understand the riches of the glory of God's inheritance that's in people. I mean, and that's another thing that I love about James. His heart, it's for the people. And that's why I do it. I just love the people. I love the way that James and everybody on the staff takes care of each other as well as the people that we minister to. So my calling is to do this, but then I just love the way we're able to help so many people around the world. I think the most important thing is whatever it is that you're created for, God has a way to get that across to you. And one of the first things you need to learn to find out what that is, how do you communicate with God? Who is He? What does it mean that He's your daddy, that He's your papa, that He loves you so much? And I'll tell you, the material that James has put out and the things that Encounters Networks does, I think they can set that foundation so clearly in someone's life. And for someone who's been teaching that for 30 years on how to find your purpose, I couldn't recommend it more highly. And I would suggest that if you're one of those people who says, I don't know how to hear the voice of God, get a hold of some of James' material, because it's the best that's out there, I think.
If you know of a ministry that we need to know about, please give us a call, 888-641-8606, or take a look at our website, revelationstv.org.